Hello everyone and welcome back to the show with me, Mac Plays Banjo. No video to react to today. Today's going to be a little bit of a different sort of video. I mean, I did put out a reacting video earlier today, but for this video we're going to be a little different. I'm going to talk about a couple of comments that I saw and kind of talk about what this channel is. And then I'm going to talk about what I've been practicing, because that's what these videos are actually for, is documenting my practice. By the way, this is my new cat, Samson. Isn't he cute? Samson, look at the camera. There we go. I don't know how bothersome his purring is going to be on the video. Looking at the levels, it doesn't look like it's too loud. Anyways, first up, I saw a lot of comments asking who I was to criticize people. And I'll tell you, first up, my name is Mac. I play banjo. I also play a couple other instruments, although none of them as seriously as I play banjo. I've been playing classical piano since I was like 4 or 5-ish, I think, and been studying music pretty much since then. I took up banjo about 4 years ago and have spent a lot of time learning about it and even more time practicing it. And since then, I've gone to Bela Fleck's banjo camp twice, and I've had the opportunity to take private lessons from like Ryan Kavanaugh, Adam Larrabee, Trey Wellington, a couple other people. So I do have a musical background. Like, I'm not just some random person who's just criticizing musicians for the fun of it. I actually do understand this music to a pretty high degree at this point. And by this music, I mean like banjo, bluegrass music. I know the history of the instrument. I know like how it has developed over the last 100 years or so, which is pretty much the whole history of this instrument, you know, in its modern form. So all that to say, I do know stuff, even if it, you know, looks like I'm 13, which I don't think I actually look like I'm 13, but there were so many comments calling me 13. It was crazy. I think 90% of the angry comments were just people yelling about me being too young to know anything about music, and that's just not true. Like, I do know quite a bit about this music. I'll get to that in a second. So yeah, that's kind of me and my background. Obviously, I don't have as many accolades or achievements as a lot of the people that I have critiqued, but I don't think I have to. You don't have to be one of the best banjo players in the world to say that someone who is clearly not one of the best banjo players in the world isn't one. You just have to have a prerequisite level of knowledge on the instrument, which I do have. Like, I've been studying this instrument for years pretty intensely. But anyways, that's just kind of my introduction and who I am to make these critiques of people. Now I want to get into some specific comments and respond to them, because I thought they either brought up interesting arguments or were just kind of funny. The first comment I want to talk about is from @BeardedChieftain. Tell me you are poorly educated about influential musicians without telling me you have no effing idea. Perhaps it is the fact that you are a mere beardless boy, but if you had lived as long as some of us, you'd have heard people mentioning Roy and how he influenced them during interviews, and not just musos. I don't know if he means musicians, but it's MUSO''S in the US either. By the way, what awards do you have for banjo? Roy's list of awards is easily found online. I never heard of you. I already addressed the awards thing, both a couple minutes ago and in my latest Billy Strings video. I kind of made my full argument on that, why you don't need to be better than someone to critique them. It's kind of like the those that can't do teach, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't think the fact that I'm a mere beardless boy is in any way relevant to me critiquing Roy Clark. And that was such a common thread through the comments, was just people saying I'm too young to understand. I'm sorry, that just... So that comment didn't really have much substance to it. I just thought it was funny. But this one actually presents an interesting argument, which I want to address. So this is from Tyann Harmon 6789. To say you find nothing remarkable about his playing, and this is about Roy Clark, by the way. To say you find nothing remarkable about his playing from performances 50 years old, give or take, is like saying Eddie Van Halen was a mediocre guitarist. So many were influenced and inspired by them that compared to players today, they don't seem at all that special until you realize that at the time of those recordings, their performances were fresh and different. People started emulating their style, flooding the music scene with copycats and wannabes, which is why someone as young as you don't hear anything remarkable. Your senses have been dulled by oversaturation. That is just completely untrue. And I can tell by that comment that you do not know anything about the banjo's history, which is fine, which is totally fine. But don't pretend that you do. Every video of Roy Clark that I watched was him playing someone else's song pretty much note for note the way they played it. The comparison of him to Eddie Van Halen is pretty ridiculous because... All right, do you want off or do you want to stay on? Compare Roy Clark to Eddie Van Halen is pretty ridiculous. And who you should compare him to is to Earl Scruggs, because Roy Clark was playing Earl Scruggs' music in most of the videos that I watched, I think. Roy Clark did not innovate any of that. The reason why I'm saying that he's not doing anything fresh or new is not because he's influenced everyone, but because he was influenced by people before him and was just playing their music. All of the music and pretty much every lick that Roy Clark was putting into that music was around before Roy Clark. He did not come up with any of that. So the videos that we watched, Roy Clark playing dueling banjos, he played pretty much the exact same thing that Eric Weisberg did in the original recording. Foggy Mountain Breakdown, he played pretty much the exact same thing that Earl Scruggs did when he recorded it. He did not innovate anything on the videos that we watched. So my comments about nothing being fresh or new actually had taken that into account, what time period he was in, because I know quite a bit of the history of the instrument, and I knew that at the place that he was in it, which was after Earl Scruggs recording Foggy Mountain Breakdown, which was after Dueling Banjos being released, obviously, all of those things had already been done, and Roy Clark was just imitating the players that did them originally. You can go and find the recordings of those songs that were made before Roy Clark, and that Roy probably learned off of, and compare them to his. And you're going to find that Roy is pretty much just imitating them, which is completely fine, but it just shows that your argument is wrong, which I hate to say, but so many of these comments just had no idea what the actual history of the instrument was, because they were putting Roy Clark kind of in the place that Earl Scruggs was. They were saying that he innovated so much and influenced everyone. No, I'm sorry, he didn't. Roy Clark was not one of the influential players. He was one of the influenced people that Earl Scruggs and other players influenced. That is just not historically accurate. At Bobby Tapasio says, since you're such an expert, so modet, I think he means modest, have you listened to Earl Scruggs? I've never listened to anyone named Earl Scruggs. If you mean Earl Scruggs, yes, I have listened to Earl Scruggs. Probably more than you have. I dang near guarantee I've listened to more Earl Scruggs than you have, Bobby. A lot of the comments were responding seriously to jokes that I had made, and I know that I have a really kind of dry sense of humor, and I went back and watched several of the videos that I had done because there were so many comments that were like angry at things that I had said. I was like, all these things that I said were jokes. Like, this is satire. This is a satirical video. And a lot of people did not understand that. So I went back and watched it. And maybe they're not coming off as jokes clear enough. I don't know. Well, obviously not to those people, but I feel like some of them they should have figured out were jokes. Like on my Kermit the Frog video, there were people angry about me saying that Kermit the Frog wasn't very good at banjo. And it's like, how can you not understand that's a joke? Like, he's a puppet. Yeah, obviously. I know he's a puppet. I'm just making fun of him as a puppet because it's funny. It's supposed to be entertaining. So maybe a lot of those jokes weren't coming off as well as they should have been as jokes. I don't know. I guess you guys can let me know in the comments. Well, I guess, I mean, some of you already have. But yeah, a lot of the angry comments are just kind of misinterpreted jokes because most of the negative things I say are sarcastic. And I thought it was obvious that they were, but maybe not. At KH2099-Z5F, which is a really catchy name. Of course you have no idea of the top 10 or anything between 50, as you are just too young to understand. As with many young people, they think they know everything. You will change your mind as you understand the instrument better. He is rated in the top 25 by experts. Are you an expert? Do you know more than experts? What? Hi. What experts are you talking about? Did Bela Fleck rate Roy Clark as one of the best players? No. Noam Pikelny, did he rate? No. I've never seen any great player talk about Roy Clark ever. I'm guessing from your comment that you wouldn't even know who Bela Fleck or Noam Pikelny are, because these are the actual experts of banjo. If by experts you mean random lists online that are probably AI generated or just cobbled together by someone who doesn't actually play the instrument. So I really have no idea what experts you're talking about, like banjo experts, because most of the actual banjo experts are just people that I know and I have messaged and asked about these things. Because the banjo is a pretty small, tight-knit community. Everyone pretty much knows everyone else who has relevance with the instrument, or at least knows of them. And I've met a lot of people who I would consider to be world experts with the instrument. They know a lot about it, a lot more than I do. And none of those people make lists online. Okay, so again, I have no idea what you mean by expert if you're not talking about those people. This is a comment from Edmond Guy. It's a good thing that you're extremely cute because you'd never survive being ugly with that obnoxious personality. We're all so glad that you've become so wise in your, quote, 10 years, unquote, of trying to learn music. Did I ever say that I've been learning music for 10 years? I do not think I ever said that in the video, so I don't know what this person's referencing. Echoing the best comment here, play this song for us. We're all gripped with eagerness to hear you show us how it's done properly. You want me to play you Foggy Mountain Breakdown? I think that's the one that he was referring to. There were so many comments that was like, well, if you're so good, can you play the song the way Roy played it? And it's like, yes. Foggy Mountain Breakdown is not a hard song. I've never actually formally learned it. I've just heard it so much. I've never actually sat down and tried to learn the song. It's just so in my blood as a banjo player, you can just play it. And that's why I think that none of the people who are criticizing me about Roy Clark were actually banjo players, because everything he played there is really easy to play on the instrument. I haven't played that song probably in 6 months, and that was the first time I'd played today, and that's how I was playing it. Was it as good as Roy Clark's? Probably not. Nothing that he played was actually hard, and anyone who plays the banjo will know that. Oh yeah, here's a comment I was going to address. I don't know who asked this comment because I screenshotted it and their name got cut off, but it says, in one part of the video you said that he hit the wrong part of the string. I don't play banjo and don't know what this means, so just curious, what is the wrong part of a string? And then I said I'm going to address this in a responding to comments video, and then a username, which I won't repeat because it has profanity in it, says it highlights the ignorance of the kid. He probably thinks Stanley Jordan and Eddie Van Halen suck at guitar because they don't play it like other guitar players. The reality is that being the best at banjo isn't about being able to play more notes per second than someone else. It's about how well you entertain an audience with what you do. That is completely wrong, and I will deal with that right after I show what the wrong part of the string thing is. I know many technical players that this little D word would think were greater than sliced bread, but they are boring and no one would ever want to listen to them for more than a few minutes before being bored to tears. I want to address that in a second, but first, to the person who asked what the wrong part of the string was. On a fretted stringed instrument, the closer that your fretting finger is to the fret, the cleaner of a tone you will get. If I have my finger, this is the fret, this metal wire that goes right across here. I don't know if you know that. If you do, I apologize, but I have no idea who you are. If you put your finger right up against the fret like this, you'll get a pretty clean tone. But if you slide your finger back to here, it's really buzzy. Hear that? So that's the wrong part of the string, is he was way back here when he fretted down the note. So he got like that really bad buzzy tone, and that's what I meant. And that's why that reply didn't make sense, because like, no, Stanley Jordan and Eddie Van Halen don't suck. But they would suck if they were playing every note like that. Yeah, then they would suck. It's just a mistake. And that's what makes something wrong, is that you didn't intend to do it, right? At the end of the day, that's what makes something wrong. And he obviously did not intend to hit the note like that. That's another argument I wanted to address, was a lot of people were saying what makes the greatest banjo player was how many people you entertained. And I think that is preposterous, because I'm pretty sure I made this really clear in the video. I said that I was grading him purely on his technical skills as a player. That was it. That's what I was criticizing him on. And yelling about him entertaining more people does not affect my rating on how good of a technical player he is. If that's what you value in a musician, that's awesome, but that's not what that video was about. All right, here's another comment, which is a little bit more on the unhinged side. At Shill Creative Workshop says, Roy Clark is one of the most amazing guitarists, instrumentalist, and songwriter. Is I'm just going to ignore all the misspelling and bad grammar and just assume what he means. is considered one of the icons of country music. To put the word suck next to his name is an insult. I didn't watch the video. I don't need to. I can see it's made by some kid who hasn't been around long enough to make that type of judgment. Stop making stupid videos about people you will never be as good as and go practice. I'm a musician, and this is all in caps. It's not about being one the best that makes one the greatest. Think about that. You might understand one day. Yeah, a lot of people, I think, were just mad about the title. The title was, Does Roy Clark Suck? With a question mark. It's not Roy Clark Sucks. I never said that he sucks in the video. That's just a clickable title that people will click on because it asks a question, and then you have like this curiosity. Wait, does Roy Clark suck? And then you click on the video, and then I say, no, he doesn't suck. But yeah, obviously that comment is really dumb. Like, you didn't even watch the video, and yet you leave this stupid, angry comment. A lot of the comments were like that, where they're just angry people saying really dumb emotional stuff, and you can tell that they don't actually have any expertise with the instrument. It's not an actual counter argument. It's just them being angry. I actually got some physical threats in the comments. Like one guy, I didn't take a screenshot of this one, so I don't know what this guy's name was, but he asked where I lived, and it was obviously like in a very threatening way, which is just insane. Like, if someone having a different opinion on Roy Clark makes you want to physically hurt them, please seek professional help. And I mean that completely seriously. If you are that unhinged of a person, you need help. So yeah, those were kind of the comments I wanted to talk about. Like I said, there were a lot of common threads that went through them, and I think I addressed most, if not all of those. So hopefully that puts things to rest. I'm sure there will be no angry comments ever again on this channel, because everyone who is angry will watch this video and reasonably go, oh wow, you know, clearly I misunderstood, and I will now humbly apologize. You can all direct your apologies in the comments below. But yeah, so anyways, what have I been practicing? So, probably going to keep this short. Yeah, let's keep the practice segment short in the practice log video, because I've been recording for like an hour and I don't want this video to be very long. But yeah, here's what I've been practicing. I've been learning some Roy Clark stuff. No, I'm kidding, guys. I have been going through the Scruggs book and learning every song. And how many songs am I in? 2. That's correct, 2. I know a lot more songs than that, because I know quite a few Scruggs tunes, but just going like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, I don't know many that way. The first song is Ballad of Jed Clampett, which I've known for years, of course. Then the second song is Cumberland Gap, which I like knew but didn't know. I know that's not the way that Earl played it, but I learned the way that Earl played it, and then I started improvising it, and pretty much completely forgot. I think it's more like... It's closer to that. That's a good way to learn songs, is you should learn the way that the master did it, and then you should learn to do it in your own way. That's how you actually learn things, right? So I've been going through that. The next one I'll be learning is Hot Corn, Cold Corn, I guess, which, you know, shouldn't take that long. And then for jazz, I've been working on There Will Never Be Another You, which I've just been doing. Adam Larrabee gave me a sheet, which is learning the changes. So you play the root. You play the root of all the chord changes. And then you play the third. Shoot, where does it go from there? Yeah, so instead of playing the full chords of the song, which would be like... oh shoot, where is it? I may have gotten some of those chords wrong. Like I said, I'm still in the beginning stages of his learning the changes sheet that he has. But that has been really, really good. And I'll talk more about that in the next practice log, because that is really helping me internalize the song way more than any other method I've had. Because what he has you do is you play the root of every chord through all the changes, and I've just been doing that on every string. Then you play the third, then the fifth, then the seventh, and then you do pairs of them, and then you do like scale fragments, and there's a whole thing. Once I get through that whole sheet with them, I guarantee you I'm going to have that tune like down. It is going to be down in my head, because, oh my gosh, I will know it so well at that point. I also learned, at Adam Laraby's recommendation, I learned Chet Baker's scat solo from There Will Never Be Another You, which goes like this. Oh, I haven't played this in a while, sorry. So it goes like that. Really beautiful solo. I like that a lot. But yeah, so those are kind of the things I've been working on. I know not that much to talk about, but like I said, trying to keep it short so that this video doesn't end up an hour and 13 minutes long. And I'll definitely dig a little bit deeper into practice in the next practice log when I'm not responding to comments as much. So yeah, anyways, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, you're awesome. Appreciate you. Watch out for the next practice log if you actually want to hear about my practice. Other than that, just watch the reaction videos. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.